The Whispering Hours. Sleep time. Horror stories. A real, scary, true story. They say the most vulnerable time in your day is not when you're awake, not even when you're walking home alone at night. It's when you're asleep. Because when you sleep, you surrender. Your body rests, your guard drops, and your mind opens the door to things you can't control. This story begins during the quietest hours, the whispering hours, and what happened still haunts me every time I try to sleep. The move-in. It all started when I moved into my new apartment in a small town outside Chicago. I was fresh out of college, had landed my first job, and was eager to live alone for the first time. The place was old but charming. Creaky floorboards, vintage wallpaper, a clawfoot bathtub, and rent that was suspiciously cheap. It was perfect, or so I thought. The landlord was an old man named Mr. Greaves. He was kind but strange. While handing me the keys, he muttered, "Don't leave your bedroom door open while you sleep, no matter what." I laughed, thinking it was a joke. He didn't laugh back. He just looked at me, cold and serious. The first whisper. The first night was peaceful, but around 3:12 a.m., I woke up to the faint sound of whispering. It was so soft, I thought it was in my dream, but as I sat up, I realized it was coming from inside the apartment. I froze. I tiptoed to the bedroom door. It was closed. I pressed my ear against it. The whispering stopped. I opened it slowly, heart racing. But the apartment was empty. Maybe it was the neighbors, I told myself. Maybe the pipes. The second night, same thing, same time, 3:12 a.m., same whisper. But this time I heard something clear. "Let me in." I turned on every light in the apartment. No one was there, but I didn't sleep again that night. The doorway shadow. On the third night, I did something I shouldn't have. I left my bedroom door open. I was curious. I wanted to prove it was nothing. At exactly 3:12 a.m., I woke up, not to a whisper, but to breathing. Slow, heavy breathing. I looked toward the door. There was a shadow, not a person, a shape, tall, stretched unnaturally long, as if it didn't belong in this world. It didn't move. It just stood there, breathing, watching me. I couldn't scream, couldn't move. I lay frozen until the sun came up, and when I finally found the courage to get up, the shadow was gone. I slammed the bedroom door shut and promised never to leave it open again. The history of 3:12 a.m. I started researching sleep disturbances. I found something chilling. In folklore, 3 a.m. is called the devil's hour. But 3:12 a.m.? That time kept appearing in cases of paranormal sleep encounters, especially one case in 1974, just 3 blocks from my building, where a woman reported seeing a shadowy figure every night at 3:12 a.m. before vanishing without a trace. Her bedroom door had been left open the night she disappeared. The scratching. Weeks passed. I barely slept. I set up cameras. Nothing ever showed up, except audio distortion at 3:12 a.m. and faint static that sounded like whispering when played in reverse. Then one night, something new happened. At 3:12 a.m., I heard scratching on the bedroom door. Slow, deliberate, not like nails, not like wood. It sounded wet, like flesh dragging across the door. I didn't open it, but the next morning, there were 3 marks on the door. Deep, dark, and oozing something black. The neighbor. My neighbor, Claire, knocked on my door one afternoon. She looked pale. I need to ask, have you been hearing things at night? I hesitated, then told her everything. She broke down, crying. "It's the building," she said. "There's something here. I've seen it too. It comes for you when you sleep." She moved out that night, didn't even take her furniture. I never saw her again. The night it entered, the worst night of my life. I was exhausted, hadn't slept properly in days. I decided to try sleeping with the lights on. Door closed, of course. 3:12 a.m. The lights flickered, then shut off completely. Pitch black. I heard the whisper again. "Let me in." Then, the door slowly creaked open on its own. I couldn't move. Sleep paralysis held me in place. A tall figure, all shadow, crawled on the ceiling and dropped beside my bed. It had no face, only a gaping mouth, whispering, "You're awake, but I'm in your dream." It grabbed my face with freezing hands. I blacked out. The exorcist. I called a priest the next day. He listened silently, then said, "You invited it when you stopped fearing it." He blessed the apartment, burned sage, and told me never to sleep there again. I moved out that night. I still see it sometimes, in dreams. It waits at the edge of my vision at exactly 3:12 a.m. If you've made it this far, I hope you're listening at any time except 3:12 a.m. And if you're watching this in bed, close your door. Don't listen to the whispers, because once you do, it's already too late. The return. It had been 6 months since I moved out of the apartment. I found a small studio in the city, far from that cursed building. Things were better at first. I was sleeping again. No more whispers. Number 312. M visits. But then, one night, I woke up from a nightmare. Sweating. Panicked. I looked at my phone. 3:12 a.m. I froze. How? I wasn't even in the same building. That's when I noticed something. My bedroom door, which I always kept closed, was now open. The phantom room. I started hearing things again. First, soft whispering through the walls. Then shadows moving across the floor with no source. I called my friend Mason to stay over. We stayed up one night with cameras, recorders, everything. At 3:12 a.m., we both felt it. The temperature dropped. Breath turned to mist. A deep rattling sound came from the closet. Mason, brave as hell, opened the door. It was empty, but behind the closet's back wall was another door, hidden, painted over. We chipped away the paint and pried it open. Inside was a sealed-off room no bigger than a pantry. On the floor was a mattress, a mirror, and on the wall, etched into the plaster, was a message. "We sleep together now." The mark. After that night, I found a mark on my neck. 3 thin lines, almost like scratches. They burned. I started seeing things in mirrors, not reflections, versions of me, distorted and smiling. They would move before I did. They would whisper, "Let me be you." One night I woke up standing in the hallway. No memory of getting up. My hands were ice cold. My fingernails had black gunk beneath them. Something was taking over. Something from the room. Sleep experiment. Desperate, I contacted a sleep specialist. We set up a test. EEG monitors, REM analysis, the whole setup. I agreed to sleep at the clinic, monitored by a team. Everything was recorded. I fell asleep at 11 p.m. All was normal until 3:12 a.m. Suddenly, my EEG spiked. My eyes opened wide, but I was still unconscious. I sat up, slowly, looked directly at the camera. Then I spoke, not in my voice. "You can't stop what's already inside." The monitors went haywire. I began convulsing. The lights burst, and when they woke me up, there was a burn mark on the bed in the shape of a mouth. The other victims. I wasn't the only one. I began researching the building again. Found an old blog from 2002, written by a girl named Ellie Carter, who had also lived in apartment 3B. She described the same whispers, the same shadow at 3:12 a.m., and even the hidden room. Her last blog post read, "I hear it breathing in my dreams. It wants me to sleep forever. Tonight, I'm staying awake, no matter what." She was never heard from again. Police say she vanished, but I know the truth. The building didn't keep her. It sent her out, like me. The Sleepless Cult. While diving deeper into forums and archives, I stumbled on something even darker. A private online group called The Sleepless. They shared stories like mine, dozens of them, all describing the 3:12 a.m. phenomenon. Some called it the Dreaming One. Others believed it was a parasite, a spiritual entity that attached itself to people who experienced sleep trauma. They said it could jump from building to building, even person to person, through dreams, mirrors, and whispers. And worst of all, once it marks you, it never lets go. The final sleep. I couldn't take it anymore. I decided to go back to the original apartment. I had to face it, end it, burn it down if I had to. I broke in just before midnight. The place was boarded up, dusty, dead. But when I stepped in, the air shifted, the floorboards groaned, and the whisper returned. You came back to sleep. I went straight to the hidden room. The mirror was cracked now. I stared at it, my reflection smiling. Wider, inhuman. Then everything went black. The recording. This is where it gets strange. Because what you're hearing now, this story, it was recorded. My friend Mason found it, saved on a USB inside the same closet, labeled My Last Sleep. The voice in the recording, it's mine. But it sounds different, slower, like something else was speaking through me. The whisper lives. If you've made it this far, you need to know the truth. The whispering, it doesn't stop. Not just at night, not just in dreams. It follows listeners. So if tonight you find yourself wide awake and you hear a faint whisper just past your door, whatever you do, don't answer, don't move, don't listen, because once you hear it clearly, you're already sleeping in its world.